How much did you try to get in his young head at that point?
Oh, all the time. The thing is, I would always talk to him, and he never used to say stuff, right? No. He never talked. I would say little things to him, jab at him, like, especially when he got the free throw line, Skip. I would always talk to him because he would miss crucial free throws.
LeBron had to be sedated before games 4, 5, and 6 because of a locker room issue. I think it was with Delonte West.
I wonder what that was about.
What do you remember about 4, 5, and 6 that year?
Shout out to D Wade for saving LeBron James' legacy. Paul Pierce exposes how to defend LeBron James. Check out what he had to say, and then I'll come back with my comments.
As LeBron burst onto the scene, I thought you were the best at guarding LeBron of anybody ever. And I wanted you to go a little deeper into what was the secret of guarding LeBron. And this is explosive LeBron. This is that early Cleveland LeBron where he could just go off on people because he probably didn't weigh 270 at that point, but he could jump out of the gym and do a lot of athletic things.
Yeah, the thing with LeBron, you have to take away his straight line angles. And he wasn't really a great shooter coming in. No. So you have to negotiate the ball screens. You have to negotiate whether you're going to go under or over. And I always went under on him. If he's not hitting no jumpers, you could go under ball screens. You got to put your hands on him. You got to be kind of a little more physical with him, knock him off his spots. Because I would watch him, and players wouldn't be physical with him. You know, it was just like, so when I flashed up with him, I wanted to make sure I kept a body on him. I grabbed him. Like, even when he didn't have the ball, just make him work at all times. But, like, before he started getting any kind of consistent jumper and he didn't make free throws consistent, I would just foul him or go under screens until he got more consistent in making those shots.
When it comes to driving to the basket, being that point forward, LeBron, he's pretty much up there as the GOAT. But early on in LeBron's career, when it was just strictly athleticism, maybe a little bit of a jump shot, just stop him from driving to the basket. If he gets ahead of you, get some steam going to the basket, foul him. His free throw percentage never been the best as far as being an all-time great. Believe he averaged around 72 to 73% over his career. So what Paul Pierce did in those early days when LeBron was on Cleveland, back when Paul Pierce was still in his prime, still athletic enough to body him up and to stop him from driving, foul LeBron, make him earn it. And in crunch time moments, hopefully that jump shot isn't flowing and you can stop the king, LeBron James.
When he got to Miami, he started making shots.
Yeah, that's what.
And it was just like, okay, that's when he took his game to the next level. But I always welcome the challenge of guarding him because hearing about him, it's crazy. The first time I heard about this kid, he was in high school. And remember everybody was going to watch his games? I remember Antoine Walker going to watch his games. And I'm like, man, who is this kid? They was like, he can play in an all-star game right now. Like, out of high school. And I was like, really? He that good? And so I just, like, when he got drafted, I was like, man, I'm going to test him from day one. From day one, I was going at him. I was like, how you going to call this 19-year-old kid a king? Like, what has he done? And I don't know. We played the same position. And I always relish just challenging myself and playing against him.
How much did you try to get in his young head at that point?
Oh, all the time. The thing is, I would always talk to him, and he never used to say stuff, right? No. He never talked. I would say little things to him, jab at him, like, especially when he got the free throw line, Skip. I would always talk to him because he would miss crucial free throws.
You didn't really have to do too much talking when LeBron was at the free throw line because he really wasn't a great free throw shooter. He gets nervous at moments. Even now, LeBron will go 1 for 2 when you need 2 at the free throw line. So early on in LeBron's career, before he got this confidence, you can rattle him a little bit, him being in his first through third year. I think all the taunting and stuff, the BS talking, it worked on LeBron. He always had flaws in his game, but shout out to LeBron. Still a decent player overall in his career. Maybe top 2 or top 3 all time, depending on how you want to rank him. But Paul Pierce, even though he didn't have the greatest success against LeBron once he got to Miami, but before he got to Miami, when he was in Cleveland, the Celtics, they dominated LeBron. He had to lead the Cavs to go to the Miami Heat to get that confidence from D. Wade, Pat Riley, and that Miami Heat organization. Paul Pierce crushed LeBron James.
He would.
I would just, I know that got to him.
So you would say something to him from alongside of the lane before he shot?
Yes, while he's at the line.
Like what? Do you remember?
Because he early reputation, he wasn't making critical free throws. I was like,
wasn't.
well, he don't miss. Like I would tell him, like, oh, this is that time of the game where he's not gonna make these, y'all. You don't even worry about it. Just get ready to rebound, and then get a stick in his head.
That's how you do it.
Really, literally all the time.
It took LeBron James a little bit longer in his career to at least be a decent clutch free throw shooter. We've seen it in Miami versus the San Antonio Spurs in those playoff series runs in those 4 years. He became a better knockdown free throw shooter, but he always tried to avoid it. You'll see LeBron James, you're down by 2. He's going to shoot a fadeaway 3-point shot, at least make a difficult shot, and people will salute him. And if he misses, well, he shot from, 30 feet. What did you expect? But you got people in the media like Skip Bayless like, nah, bro, go to the basket, man up, go to the free throw line, and try to make your shots. That's why LeBron James will never be better than Michael Jordan.
So what do you remember from that 2010 series? It was the conference semifinals. He came in to Boston on a Friday night, and he was spectacular. It was one of the best games I ever saw him play. I forget the numbers, but it was 30, 10 and 10 or whatever. And they went up 2-1. Right. And then you put the clamps on him and he put the clamps on himself, and they lost 4, 5, and 6 to the point that, if you remember, Dan Gilbert eventually accused him of quitting in the series. And somebody in his camp put out the story to Stephen A. that LeBron had to be sedated before games 4, 5, and 6 because of a locker room issue. I think it was with Delonte West.
What that was about.
Just what do you remember about 4, 5, and 6 that year?
Yeah, that was weird, the whole being sedated. I know the Delonte West situation, rumors about Delonte and his mom. I'm sure that rattled LeBron, even though he had that great game 2 or 3 or whatever. Then they lost 4, 5, and 6. That just showed that mentally you can get through to LeBron. If that was Michael Jordan, I don't see that happening. Think about all the stuff that Michael Jordan had going on and off the court, within the front office, teammates, and just things surrounding Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan wouldn't get rattled. Jordan wouldn't beat himself. You had to beat the Bulls and Jordan in order to win a series. So, again, LeBron James, he's fragile mentally, and he'll never be better than Michael Jordan.
Yeah, it was weird because, I just remember, when we went down 2-1, I said, look, Doc, I remember saying this to everybody on the team. I said, I'm going to put all my energy on the defensive end.
Good.
And that kind of took away from my offense a lot that series. I think we really were carried offensively by Rondo that series, because I remember putting all my defensive effort. But he didn't seem right. Something didn't seem right. I don't know if it was the combination of whatever he was going through or me just way I was playing against him and stuff.
Maybe.
But, I'm not in their locker room. I don't know what's going on. I'm not in their bus. I'm not in their practices. All I know is I'm like, listen, I'm going to put all my energy in the garden, this dude. And that's it. And we're going to find a way to win this series. Because they were the number 1 seed, I believe. I think they won 60 games that year. I think we were the 4 seed. And then I just knew for some that everybody felt like this was going to be LeBron's last year in Cleveland. You could just, the energy just felt.
You could. Yeah.
The energy just felt like this was it. After we beat him a second time, he was number 1 seed. They couldn't get over the hump. And you just knew something was going to happen in Cleveland. That's the energy that you felt in the playoffs and all through that series. And it was just it felt good to send him out of Cleveland, though. It did feel good.
That was the key to stopping LeBron. Play some good defense on him, body him up, don't allow him to drive to the basket, stop those driving lanes, have a solid center in there that can at least deter LeBron, make him call an audible and, pass the ball back out and reset the offense. And then talk to him mentally, jump to him, whatever is going on outside the court with Delonte West allegedly, the mom situation. Yeah, that crushed LeBron James. So if you're LeBron James, Clutch Sports, Rich Paul, I know you're trying to defend the legacy of LeBron James, but he has some lapses in his career that you can't really defend. So that's why LeBron James will never be the GOAT.
It did, and you sent him out. And he did join forces with Dwayne Wade, who I thought was great for him, and it helped to have Chris Bosh, obviously, and it helped to have Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra up above. And, what did you see from him as he sort of grew up in Miami?
Yeah, LeBron going to Miami, that was the best thing for his career. He needed that big brother, D. Wade, to teach him how to win. LeBron James was just a very good basketball player, can be a regular season great team with the Cavs, but what more can you do in the playoffs? Are you just going to be a great regular season team, make it to the first or second round of the playoffs and get bounced out? So going to the Miami Heat, it really saved LeBron James and his legacy, even though Paul Pierce, he tried his best when LeBron was in Miami, but by then, Paul Pierce's athleticism went away, had an older body, wasn't able to kind of compete against LeBron James on the defensive end, wasn't really having great offensive games. And then the Celtics team was getting old, so there was just a lot of stuff surrounding the Celtics, their age and just everything. LeBron James increasing his game, playing with D. Wade and Chris Bosh, even though Rich Paul talks about there wasn't a big three in Miami, disrespecting Chris Bosh. We already know that without Chris Bosh, the Miami Heat don't win those championships. So great move by LeBron James for quitting on the Cavs and going to the Miami Heat. As a Heat fan, I was thankful, but at the same time, shout out to D. Wade for saving LeBron James' legacy.
Well, the game, I think his legacy-changing game was Game 6 versus us at home after we put him on the ropes again in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Had him on the ropes, yep.
Yeah, that was 2012 maybe. I think so. And it was 2012. We had him on the ropes, and that was the game I felt like LeBron turned the corner. It was probably his second greatest game to date, if not his best game. I remember the game versus Detroit. He scored like 28 or 30 straight.
He did.
But that game right there with all the pressure on Miami Heat to go to the finals, for him to deliver, this was going to be that game where it was going to make or break LeBron. People were like, he's not clutch. He can't deliver. He can't get his team over the hump. And look what all he got. And so that game right there, when he just went nuclear on us. And I don't think there was nothing can do that. Nobody can do anything that day. And I think that really changed his trajectory. I mean, not that he wasn't going to be great, but it really took him to that next level. You know how certain great players just have those games where it's just like, oh, that game took them to the next level. And from that point on, it really changed how we looked at LeBron.
Yeah, that was a legacy game. I remember seeing that game live, at the crib. That 45-point game, stone-faced LeBron, didn't laugh, didn't smile. So really the Celtics helped LeBron James' legacy, kind of pushed him over the edge. He was able to kind of mature his game, play at another level, not just score points, but score points when it counted the most. Whenever the Celtics went on a run, LeBron would hit a three, go to the free throw line, go to the basket. He was elite that game. And you had other players on that team that played great as well. Chalmers, Wade, Bosh. Just timely baskets from the Miami Heat and just timely play from LeBron James. So shout out to LeBron. People may talk about him, negatively at times. I had my moments as well, but he did have a great series and a great legendary game versus the Celtics. But you're still not better than Michael Jordan.
Was he different on the floor that night? Did you get a different aura, body language from him?
Man, he was from out the gate. I just remember how he attacked because the game plan never changed with him. We want him to shoot jumpers and take fadeaways and going to limit his easy drives. And so he just started making those that day. He didn't say a word. You could see the look in his eye. He just had that look, Skip. Sometimes these players have that look. And I used to always see it with Kobe. I used to see it with Iverson, and he had that look that day. He didn't always have it, but that day it was just one of them looks to where it was all business. And he delivered for him. My hat goes off to him for what he was able to do that day, especially in Boston where we were tough to beat.
Yeah.
And, it was similar when Jordan had to get past the bad boys of Detroit. You know what I'm saying? It was kind of like similar to that. And, he got over the hump. And then from that point on, that's when he started making his finals runs.
Yeah, so shout out to LeBron. You did your thing. But the key to guarding LeBron James, stop the driving lanes, body him up, force him to shoot. Even now, back then, more than ever, but even to today. But if LeBron James isn't making his shot, you force him to be a jump shooter, he's going to miss more than he make. So yeah, man, shout out to Paul Pierce, shout out to the Celtics for helping LeBron James get to the next level. Kind of like what he said, the analogy with Jordan versus the Pistons. He had to go through the Pistons to get to that next level in his career. Same thing with LeBron James, going to Miami, quitting on the Cavs, building that super team, the big three with him, Bosh and D. Wade. That was the only way he was going to defeat the Celtics. So again, shout out to Paul Pierce and the Celtics for helping LeBron James' legacy. But most importantly, shout out to D. Wade for teaching LeBron James how to win. But even so, LeBron James will never be better than Michael Jordan